Well, hey, everybody. Happy Thursday. We've already made it to Thursday. 2 weeks from today, I'm heading to the airport right about now to head down to Walt Disney World for Mallory's cheerleading competition. Yay. We're staying at the Hilton. Yay. But hey, I'm across the street from Chicken Guy in Disney Springs, and I'm going to Paradiso 37. That's right. I'm going to check it out after all these years. When you're in the neighborhood, right? I'll be right across from Disney Springs. It's the chance to do it since I won't be at an on-site hotel because they have the Hilton has bribed the cheer gyms by putting in spring floors into their banquet rooms so the cheer squads can practice inside in air conditioning for the competition. Yes. Wonderful. So we got to stay off site. It'll be okay. I'll be at Walt Disney World. I can't complain. All right, we're going to talk about Mike in the Midwest. Kind of an interesting show today. I hope this one fires you up a little bit and gives you like a little bit of perspective on why I do what I do with some things. Maybe not interesting, but I hope that these are the kind of things I love to listen to. I love to learn about. I love to read about. And I hope that you do too. It may seem on the surface that it's only for a particular audience, but I think everybody can get a little bit out of today's show. So we will hop in and have some fun, hopefully. Let me get the stuff up for next week. For this week. All right, I think we're set. Let's make this a podcast. Ready, set, here we go. Let me just make sure one more thing. And happy Jackie Robinson Day. All right, well, let's do this. Well, hey, everybody. Happy Thursday, and welcome to episode number 43 of Mike in the Midwest, a mini podcast for you, the great patrons of the Be Our Guest podcast. We're recording this one live on Thursday, April 15th, 2021, which I believe is not tax day this year. It should have been, but of course, 2020, 2021. I think tax day is next month. I don't know. All I know is I did pay my business taxes last night because I don't think those were pushed back. And I don't want Uncle Sam coming and knocking on the door. So I know that you got to pay him sooner or later. So I wasn't sure. So I paid my taxes last night. So if anybody from the IRS is listening, estimated taxes filed last night. We're good. April 15th just always rings a bell with me. So anyway, I hope you're doing well. Also, to all of our listeners out there today, happy Jackie Robinson Day. If you're a baseball fan, of course, you know the story of Jackie Robinson, the first African-American to break into the to Major League Baseball with the Brooklyn Dodgers. Really changed the look and the feel of modern baseball, but also all sports and kind of our entire societal culture. So, of course, Jackie's not with us anymore. Number 42 lives on forever. So thank you to Jackie Robinson and those trailblazers that came in behind him and made our world a little bit better. So happy Jackie Robinson Day, everybody. All right. Well, today, before we jump into today's topic, and I think this is one that I've been thinking about doing for a few weeks. And then I did get kind of a kick in the butt to do this show. Sometimes I think the universe speaks to me or God speaks to me or somebody tells me something, a leaf falls in front of me, a branch whaps me in the head when I'm running, like, Mike, yes, this is your sign, do the show, or, go do something else. But I think I have an interesting take on things today because I do get a lot of questions on a certain topic, and I think we're going to talk about it today. But before that, what is going on in the Mike Rallman household this week? Not a whole lot going on. We have Adventures by Disney announced some new adventures for 2022, and a lot of folks have rescheduled from 2020 and 2021. So that's exciting, and I've been working a lot with them. I think I mentioned on the podcast that the hold times with Adventures by Disney this week have been incredibly long. I waited 5.5 hours on Monday. And then I found out that if you called on Skype, you got right in. There was a flaw with their system. It didn't answer regular phones. Who would have known? But yeah, it's one of those things. It's part of the job. But yeah, frustrations all around. But hey, we made it to Thursday. Tomorrow's Friday, and it's going to be awesome. 2 weeks from today, we head to the airport. We head down to the Hilton. We're staying at that Disney Springs hotel right across the street from the Springs. I have an ADR for Olivia's. Yeah, baby. Paradiso 37. Never been there, but it sounds like my kind of place. I'm finally going to talk about it. I think I'm going to have to be the champion of this restaurant from there forward, but maybe it's terrible. I don't know. We'll find out. I'll give you an honest review. We're also maybe eating a beer garden. Not sure about that one. I think I have a fourth ADR for somewhere, but I can't remember where it is. But anyway, we're going to have a good time. Mallory's excited to cheer at ESPN Wide World of Sports with her squad. Platinum Athletics, Shine. We'll see how they do. They came in fourth in the country 2 years ago. We'll see what happens this year. But they've worked extremely hard this year, wearing masks, distancing, working through all this, as any athlete has, as any student has, as any worker has. You know, it's just been an exceptionally demanding year, but we're persevering. We're making it through. All of us are. We're changing the way we do things, but we're not stopping, which is pretty cool. So anyway, 2 weeks from today, I hope you always enjoy my social media blitz. I like to take a lot of pictures. I like to do videos. I like to talk about what we're doing. And the good news is my wife puts up with it. She doesn't give me the stink eye too much, so I get to have fun with that. So look for that. 2 weeks from today, we'll be heading down, and we'll be staying at the Hilton Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night, and then we switch over to Coronado Springs. Yeah, in the tower. Got a great travel agent deal for a couple nights. And Mallory and I are going to stay a couple extra days and do some theme parking and then come home. Because, you know, the thing is, here's the bad part about being a cheer dad, right? We go down on Thursday night. The girls are not allowed in a theme park until Sunday night. They cannot go into the theme parks until the competition is over. It's a business trip. You know how hard that is for me? I'm not cheering. So I might have to sneak in. The coach didn't say I couldn't go in. The coach said Mallory can't go in. So we'll see how that all goes. But I hope you're doing well. So, of course, this week we're just going to be working through things. The weather's a little bit cooler here in St. Louis, but it's sunny, so I can't complain about that. I hope it's nice where you are in the world. One other thing I wanted to throw out there, because a lot of you guys have been with us, especially if you're listening to this and you're a patron. You kind of know the backstory and all the inside scoop on the podcast, because I don't hide stuff. I tell you what's going on in my life and how things are and my personality and stuff like that. And you know that I am a stickler for the podcast being the best it can be. I mean, there's nights that I lay in bed and I'm like, God, you know, that podcast could have been a little bit better. And this week, I will be honest, I've had a couple of sleepless nights because Pam we're trying to make, Pam wants to improve her audio. So I've been blessed that my dad is a radio engineer. So he set me up with a pretty decent sounding, you know, this is a radio studio microphone that he got from one of the radio stations he was a PD from, and he's not using it anymore. So I have this to use. So Pam wanted to upgrade her microphone, and she's always worn like a headset, but she doesn't want to wear a headset all the time because it, you know, covers up her hair and stuff like that and just doesn't look as great. So she got a desktop Yeti mic to use during the podcast. And these Yeti mics, they sound good, but they're super tricky to set up. And so we spent some time together, Pam and I, via not really Zoom, but over video chat before we recorded our Wednesday and Friday shows this week. And we got it sounding all right before we started recording. But then as the show went on, the sound quality was not great coming out of Pam's mic. And I just want you guys to know that I know that. And I have already done tons of research. I'm going to work more with Pam this week. We're going to get that corrected. We're going to get it sounding as good as this. But just please hang with us and know that it's not for lack of trying. We're going to get it. It's just really hard because Pam isn't an audio person. So I'm trying to walk her through it. You know, she's super smart about all kinds of stuff, but audio is not her thing, just because I only know it because I've been around my dad. So we're trying to troubleshoot things, but we'll get that settled. And I'm working with Scott. Scott's is pretty good. Trying to get Scott's even better. So we are going to get the audio quality, hopefully radio quality here very soon, because we are upgrading, but those mics, they're good mics, but man, they are finicky. You got to get them just right. The settings, you got to be the right distance from them. The good news about this mic, you want a little mic. This is Mike in the Midwest, but how about MIC in the Midwest? Mic, MIC, like microphone. This is what's called a dynamic mic, and it's for radio. And you might think, oh my God, if you buy this, and I did not buy this for the record. My dad gave me this years ago, but it's like a $500 studio radio mic. This is what you would see like on ESPN radio or any of those studios. They have the same mic. It's called Electro Voice. And you might think, oh, that's a really expensive mic. I bet it picks up everything. No, this is what's called a dynamic mic. It does not pick up a lot of stuff. If you come off axis like this, you don't hear me until I'm right on top of the mic talking into it. And that's awesome. That makes the mic easy to use because I can, do this and do that, but it's not picking up noise. Now, if Riley barks behind me or something, you'll hear her because it's a sharp sound, but it doesn't pick up noise in the room. The problem with those Yeti mics, they're really good mics, but they're not dynamic. They're what's called condenser, and they pick up everything. They pick up everything, and you'll hear everything. So it's you got to be careful about how you said my baby. I just want you to know. Long story. That's kind of what I do. We're working on it, and we'll get those mics set up, and they're going to sound awesome because they have the ability to sound great. It's just we got to get the settings right, and I have not done that yet, and that's on me. So we'll get that done. But I always want to give you the best audio we can. Anyway, you're here for Mike in the Midwest. You're here for stories, right? Let's tell a story. This week's show is tangentially related to running. A lot of folks have asked me over the years, Mike, why do you run so much? Why can't you just run a mile every morning? Why do you run a half marathon? Why do you run 14 miles? Why do you run every day? Why don't you run just on Saturdays or Sundays, or every other day? I don't know. People ask me this all the time, relatives, friends, neighbors, and I really don't have a good answer other than what the title of this show is. And it's basically, I like to get a win in early in the day. I like to accomplish something early in the day. And I feel like if I go for a run, no matter how bad the rest of the day goes, I have accomplished something. I've put something under my belt that I can be proud of. And it could be a 2-mile run. A 2-mile run is fine. I could do that. But I feel like since I've run so much that I have to push myself. So that's where my cheese is. There was a book years and years ago that I remember reading when I was in education about, I think it was called Who Moved My Cheese? And it was kind of about goal setting and, really pushing yourself to improve. And, my cheese right now is just at 14 miles. And your cheese could be at a mile, and there's no difference because your cheese is going to move. Now, I'm not going to move my cheese any more than 14 miles because my cheese will be gone. It'll be stale by the time I get there because I can't go much further than that. But my cheese used to be at a mile. My cheese was under a mile when I started. So we'll talk about that today. But here's how I came across this idea to talk about this. It's not about running, but running is associated with today's show. So you don't have to be a runner because I started by walking. And walking, I think, is a better exercise than running in many ways for a lot of us. But let me tell you about this story that I saw online, and I'm going to share it with you. It's about Greg Sankey. And if you don't know who Greg Sankey is, he is the commissioner of the Southeastern Conference, which is the SEC, which is the conference of universities that University of Missouri's in, Alabama, Auburn, Georgia, Florida, Mississippi State, all those schools down there, Texas A&M, Arkansas, Tennessee, Kentucky. I can name them all. Vandy. Anyway, South Carolina. Anyway, I don't need to name. I think I got them all, maybe. But anyway, it doesn't matter. He is just in charge of all these universities' athletic programs. And so he's got a very demanding job. And he just did something yesterday that I found incredible, which I hadn't even done. And Greg Sankey, who has a very demanding job with lots of travel. He's at athletic events all the time. He's meeting with university presidents, boards of curators, and things like that. He ran yesterday his 365th day in a row outside. I give this guy credit. He's not in Birmingham, Alabama, but still, I get to the treadie when it gets a little cold. I'm kind of a wimp. But let me read the story. It's a very quick story. And ironically enough, it's from the auburntigers.com, which boo. But I'm an Alabama fan. But I caught this online and I really like this. So here it is, out of Auburn, Alabama. Southeastern Conference Commissioner Greg Sankey woke up early Wednesday morning, laced up his running shoes, and headed out for his morning run, just like he'd done every day for the previous 365. An avid exerciser, Sankey's running streak started last spring, soon after the pandemic shut down the SEC men's basketball tournament, and closed the commissioner's Birmingham gym, upending his fitness routine. I realized quickly that this was not healthy for me for many reasons, Sankey said. A veteran of 41 completed marathons, Sankey returned to his running roots even though a decade had passed since he'd run his last 26.2 miles. My goal was to run 35 minutes. 35 because it was 5 more than 30, and 30 seemed like too easy a number to just pick, said Sankey, whose initial goal was to run at least every other day. After a month, he upped the ante. I'm going to try to run every day for a week, he said. That was the goal. And then he just kind of kept going. Beginning April 14th, 2020, Sankey has run at least 35 minutes per day, every day, mostly in the morning, always outside. Through the heat and humidity of the southern summer, the chill of winter, a tropical storm, and one early morning lightning flash that kept him close to his house for the final 15 minutes in case the weather intensified, the commissioner kept at it. I just enjoy the outdoors, Sankey said. To get out and get moving, I find that that's its own reward. It really created a habit that continued on. Rain, there was some snow in there, wind, sun, heat, cold. The cold was not as much fun mentally. Occasionally, the business of running a Power 5 conference amid a pandemic required mid-run phone conversations. Most of the time, however, Sankey listened while others spoke via podcasts. The Masters 4 Please, now driving with Marty Smith, was last week's go-to. Andy Stanley and David Platt provide spiritual instruction. John Gordon and Patrick Lencioni teach on leadership and team building. A lot of YouTube music, Sankey said, and sometimes I'll end up in the classic rock genre if I need a break. When his schedule allows, Sankey will go long, often running 9 miles. A resumption in travel in recent months has led to occasional 4:30 a.m. wake-up calls to get the run in prior to departure. The streak survived tight hamstrings last summer, then a calf injury that made running painful for a few weeks. Never had to stop, Sankey said. Never did stop, but it wasn't easy. In addition to the physical benefits from the daily exercise, Sankey says his mental health advantages are even greater. That's been probably at the top of the list for me, he said. Last year, we were all in this shutdown mode. Life was different. For me, the ability to grab a win early in the day by completing a run, by hitting a goal, was really important. Through it all, Sankey said, he guided the SEC through the 2020 and 2021 fall, winter, and spring sports seasons, implementing policies designed to give student athletes the opportunity to safely compete. When we were trying to sort out things last summer, or as the season began, I just really needed a few moments away to gather my thoughts, he said. We'd have problems or challenges in front of us that had to be sorted out. It was difficult to do in the workday because there was so much happening. A 35 or 45-minute run would give me the opportunity to step away and maybe focus on a few key thoughts. There were a number of times where some effective thinking came to me during the run that helped us solve some problems. 1 week has turned into 52. The commissioner makes no promises that his streak will continue to endure indefinitely. I don't know what's going to happen on Friday, so stay tuned, he said. So that's it. You can check it out at auburntigers.com. I'll retweet it also on my Twitter at BRGuestMike. Quick little story, but this story really speaks to me because, again, I want to give my opinions why I run. And it's very much the same reason that Commissioner Sankey puts very well into his quotes. He's obviously, he has a way with words better than I do. But I feel like if I get up early, because I work a lot on the computer, you guys know I work in travel, and there are days that are busier than others. Obviously, there's Mondays are my huge days because I think people get together with friends. Well, especially now that we're coming out of the pandemic a bit, people get together over the weekends with friends and family, talk about Disney vacations. and then they go into work on Monday and probably knock out a few emails, then shoot me an email. Hey, we were talking about this over the weekend. What's this look like? So Mondays, Tuesdays, usually my busiest days. Thursdays are typically my slowest day of the week. That's why I do Mike in the Midwest on this day. But it's obviously very busy every day of the week. So I'm in front of the computer a lot. And in 2017, when I decided to go full-time and travel, it was kind of rough for me because I knew that I wanted to do this. I knew I wanted to be able to do the podcast more. I mean, who wouldn't want to work where you help people plan vacations? Vacations are the stuff we work hard for all the time. It's great. But teaching was great. I love teaching. I had a master's degree in teaching. I had very good reviews all 17 years of my teaching. I was one of those teachers that and I'm not trying to brag, but a lot of, parents wanted their kids in there. And I love that. That made me happy. It made me work harder. But the thing about teaching was it's active, it's in person, it's hands-on, it's dirty because you're in there and you're building. Because I was always a teacher that wouldn't show, we'd build stuff. We built arcade games out of cardboard stuff, dowel rods, duct tape, glue sticks, because the kids learned simple machines that way. We didn't just watch a video. We might have watched a Bill Nye, but then we built stuff. We got dirty. We burned ourselves with the hot glue guns. We learned all kinds of stuff during that unit. But I love teaching. So I knew when I stepped away to become a travel agent, I'd be sitting at a computer working from home. I wouldn't have my other teachers around me. I wouldn't be up and about. I wouldn't have the stimulation that I had in a classroom. Now I'm glad for that 99% of the time. Trust me, all my teachers out there, am I right? I don't need every kid trying to sneeze on me, puke on the floor. I'm good. I'm home by myself today. Not happening. I'm fine with that, but it's also kind of isolating. So I did tell myself when I made this transition in 2017 that I got to do something to make sure that I stay active. I cannot sit in a chair all day. I cannot, eat as much as I love baked Lay's and Cheetos. I can't eat those all day. I do drink a lot of Coke Zero, but it's zero. It's not great, but it's better than nothing. So anyway, I wanted to make sure I was active. And what Commissioner Sankey said, to grab that victory early in the day, it's mental. It's a mental thing. I get up every day. I have my alarm set for 5:17. And typically I wake up. Well, I can tell you one time that the alarm has woken me up in the last 2 months. I'm always awake before that alarm goes off. For some reason, my body clock wakes me up right around 5. I lay there in bed, think about a couple things, kind of stretch out my calves. So I'm still laying in bed, get up before the alarm goes off so it doesn't wake up Pam. The night before, I always lay out everything I need for my run. My sneakers are out in the living room. If I'm wearing tights or another couple of shirts, a jacket, a hat, arm sleeves, whatever it is, it's all laid out the night before. So there's no reason to stop. And I actually sleep in my running clothes. I sleep in a running shirt. I sleep in running shorts so that when I get up, I'm pretty much ready to go. I just throw on some more layers and I'm out the door within 5 minutes. I grab my drink and I'm gone. And I think that if you want to do this, you got to think about, if I want to have that success early, what can I do the night before to prepare myself? So that's what I do. I go to bed by 10:30 at the latest because I'm getting up at 5. I got to get some sleep and, have everything ready to go in the same spot so that I just walk. Cause it's 5 in the morning. I'm a zombie. I walk out just like a machine, put my shoes on, put my socks on, shirt, sleeves, hat, gloves, whatever it is, jacket, and I'm out the door, get my water, and here we go. But also, like Commissioner Sankey said, that time is precious to me. Here's the thing. I don't know how many people, if I ask the average person on the street, when's the last time you saw sunrise? And I'm not calling my wife out because she works super hard. She works way harder than me teaching 4th graders, especially right now. She's teaching 12 kids in person and 13 kids over Zoom at the same time. It's an impossible task. I love her because she's working so hard. But here's the thing. If I ask my wife, when's the last time you saw sunrise? Not recently. Ask me when the last time I saw sunrise was. This morning. When was the one before that? Yesterday. When was the one before that? The day before. You know how thankful I am to get to see sunrises every single morning? This morning, it was crisp and clear out there on my run. It was 42 when I finished, 39 when I started. There wasn't a cloud in the sky. I got to see the stars, got to see Venus. No moon. It's a new moon right now. I did see one shooting star. And as I ran past the part of our lake, which I go around the lake, it's only a quarter of a mile. I go around it 60 times, 59 times, I should say. I walked the 60th. I heard a whippoorwill. Woo, woo. I mean, that's awesome. Like to get to do that. I mean, that's a blessing. Some people might say you are crazy to get out there because it's pitch dark when I start. But then right now, about 15 laps in, a new day breaks. You get to see the sun on the eastern horizon kind of coming up over the houses, over the trees. And if there's clouds in the sky on that day, the clouds all of a sudden start to change colors. You get to see pink clouds, orange clouds, blue clouds. I get to see that every day. And that's a choice I make. Not everybody can run early in the morning. I know some people run after work and you got that high, like you've got your work day accomplished. You got that behind you. Now it's go have fun and run. I just don't think I would have the juice to run it in the evenings. I got to run in the morning when I have a little bit of juice. I don't think I could do it in the evenings. Those that do, and I see you guys on Instagram and all the, the Lizards page and stuff, and they do the Peloton at night. God, I love that. I can't do that. I don't have anything left. I'm pooped. By about 5 o'clock, I'm wiped. I wish I could do it after work. I can't. But anyway, the morning is such a cool time to get up, get that victory. But also the other things that are kind of tangentially important to me as far as running in the morning is not only do I get to see sunrises and I get to see stars before the sun comes up, I get to see planets because I love space. Some mornings I'm running, I watch the International Space Station pass right over our lake, right over St. Charles as I'm running. It's pretty awesome. But I'm alone for the most part out there for 2 hours. And that's when I get to listen to my podcasts. And I've said this on the show many times, and it's 100% true. I love being a podcaster. That's awesome. But I am a fan of listening to podcasts like you would not believe. I think it's great because as a kid, I grew up on AM radio. You guys know that. My grandpa gave me a radio. I listened to that thing forever. Talk radio, AM sports. And I still listen to AM radio. That's it. And I listen to some satellite radio, but mostly AM radio for talk and sports. Podcasts are the next generation of that because now, I'll listen to some Disney podcasts about stuff that I'm super interested in. And the thing is, it takes your mind off of how bad your legs are hurting. Because trust me, I'm not a robot. My legs hurt every morning. They do. This morning, I got a stitch in my side. I got a cramp at mile 12. And I had to walk for like 3/4 of a lap. I was not happy about that, but it was either that or quit. And I was not quitting. Things happen. But when you're listening to a good podcast, it takes your mind off it. You get to hear about Disney topics, or I listen to a lot of technology and news podcasts. Like what's this podcaster's perspective on this topic? And a lot of times I don't agree with the topics, but that's good for me. I'm very opinionated, but I will always respect the opposite opinion and I will learn from that opinion. And hopefully that'll help me to form a better informed opinion when it comes to what I believe. I'm very stuck in my beliefs. I am, but I do respect other people's opinions and it's fun to hear what they say. And some of the podcasts I listen to are about Apple and technology. That's just fun stuff. Who gets the toys? That's fun. Disney, that's fun. But, I listen to some retro podcasts and people talk about, it's kind of where I got the idea for Mike in the Midwest, telling stories about when they were 12 in Oklahoma, working on a Commodore 64. Or when they lived in Pennsylvania and they went to their Dairy Queen after a ball game. Yeah, I did that. But I like hearing that perspective because it's different for them. Maybe they didn't all get Mr. Freeze or whatever, the Frosties or whatever they were called. It's fun. And the thing about podcasting and listening to podcasts when you're running for me is that while I'm alone, I'm not alone. I have Leo Laporte talking to me on the technology podcast. Maybe Matt and Kevin on the 3028, or maybe Rob Sesternino talking about last night's Big Brother episode or Survivor. And podcasts are awesome because by coming back, you almost have this relationship. Like, okay, cool. For the next hour, Rob Sesternino's telling me all about what I missed on Big Brother. Like I watched it, but what did he see? What changed the game for him? And I think that's super interesting. couple other things that I think are fun about running and why it's important. And this all could apply to walking. Real quick side story. For those of you that have been with us, and we've had the Be Our Guest podcast Lizards forever. Thanks to Mike Bankhead. Thanks to Joe. Thanks to everybody who kind of takes care of that group. Deb, everybody out there. I love you guys. I don't post near enough on the Lizards, but I should. I just wish I wasn't so busy. But God, I love seeing you guys at the races, and I love seeing you on social media. In 2015, I really got super competitive about running. I was overweight before this in like 2012, 2013. And I decided I was going to make, when I do stuff, I do it all the way. I started a podcast in 2008 and it's still going. Haven't missed a show since then because I'm super competitive about this kind of stuff. Well, when it came to losing weight and becoming a runner, I got super competitive because before this, I was super competitive in baseball. After that, I was super competitive in speed skating. I was one of the top ranked speed skaters in the country for a couple of years because I would practice. What I tell Mallory is that you have to be willing to practice harder than the next person. When the next person wants to take a day off, that's the day you seize the day and become better than they are. And maybe that's true. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's a terrible piece of advice. I don't know. That's how I was raised. So in 2015, I dropped about 70 pounds in 6 months and ran my butt off. I really did. I mean, I ran 70 pounds off and it made me extremely sick. I should not have done that. I ended up so sick that I couldn't go upstairs without almost passing out because my iron became so low. I had to go to many doctors to kind of figure out what was going on. I ended up having to get iron infusions at the cancer center at our hospital. It was not a pleasant thing. And looking back, I wish I would have never done that. I still run now, but I eat. I wasn't eating back then. I had some kind of an eating disorder. I would not eat. I would only eat low calorie stuff. So now I eat just about, normal foods and run a lot. But don't take it to that kind of an obsession. They're probably not running 14 miles is great, but it's my outlet. It's where my cheese is. The other thing I wanted to throw out there though, is that I've gotten to know my neighbors very well. Carl, I think I spoke about him on a podcast recently. He comes out with his little bitty dog, Max, every morning at about 6 o'clock, 6:10. And he walks really slow. He's got a little bitty dog. And I lap him 3 or 4 times. We always talk about the weather on the first lap. Then we'll talk about the Cardinals or whatever sport's going on. But it's great because I wouldn't have known Carl otherwise. Dina's another elderly lady that comes out and walks 12 laps every morning. She comes out about 6:30. And I say hello to her and she tells me about church and what's going on with her family. But we do this in little spurts as I pass her because she's going the opposite direction. So she'll give me I'll answer and then I'll get her the next time around. And we have these little spurts of conversations, but it builds community. They probably go home and say that crazy Mike's out there running again. And that's fine because I am kind of crazy. And I hope that they see that I'm trying to become the best I can be because I know Carl's out there so that he can get some exercise and make the best of the day. Dina's out there because she wants to get some exercise. She likes to see that sunrise. She's told me that. And she just wants to be active. And I applaud that. I love that. It's great to start the day by hearing some birds chirping. This time of year, the birds start singing when the sun comes up. Yesterday, I saw 2 cardinals land in the tree as I went by. And my wife has always told me that when you see a cardinal, that's the spirit of a loved one who's passed on. And my grandma, who I loved, she always had cardinals on the Christmas tree. And so that reminds me, every time I see those cardinals when I'm running, that's grandma just saying hello. And those kind of things can really only happen when you slow down by running or walking. And that sounds so weird, but you have a little time to yourself. I'm not plugged into technology. I'm not looking at a screen. I might be listening to something, but I'm kind of listening in a passive way, not always like locked in because my AirPods can allow me to hear stuff outside too. I have the microphones on so I can hear outdoor sounds. So it's a nice way to grab that victory early in the day, no matter how bad the day goes the rest of the day. Because trust me, working with Disney, I have technology issues constantly. Sometimes the podcast doesn't sound great like this week and it stresses me out. I got a victory in early in the day. And then I feel like the rest of the day might go downhill, but tomorrow morning I'm going to start off with yet another victory. So that's kind of my story as to why I do what I do. A lot of people ask, and that's basically it. And thanks to Commissioner Sankey for that story and for that inspiration. And congratulations to him on 365 days of outdoor running of at least 35 minutes. That is a remarkable feat. So here's my challenge to you, or my question to you. Why not try something like this? It could be reading a book. It doesn't have to be running. I would say walking is better because it doesn't kill your body as much. My knees are killing me. My shins, my hips, my back. I'm sore all the time. But if you walked every day, that's a victory. I started by walking and it did me a lot of good. And maybe a walk run. That's a great way to do it too. But just think about it. What's your victory today? I bet you have one. I bet you do. I know our listeners. They get out there, they change the world. We have attorneys, we have teachers, we have folks in the military. We have retired military folks who've done so much good. Now they're being able to relax and maybe do some gardening. Gardening, hey, that's a victory. What's your victory every day? Because I bet you have one. I guarantee you have one. And it makes you feel good, right? Anyway, thank you so much for your support of Mike in the Midwest. Kind of a different show. Just wanted to get my thoughts out there because people always ask me, why do you run? Are you crazy? Are you Forrest Gump? Who are you? That's basically it. I just like to get a little victory in before the day starts because the rest of the day, I can have a good perspective on things. All right, you guys all, I love you guys. Thank you for being patrons. Thank you for allowing me to do what I do. I couldn't do this without, I say that a lot, but I sincerely could not. Your little donation to this show means so very much. And I'm living a dream. And it's because of you. So thank you so much. I hope you are doing extremely well. I hope you're blessed. Wherever you are, know that you're appreciated. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you real soon. Bye.